Weird. That's the smear. Well, they opened the doors, and that's what happens. They wanted to run this weird campaign calling J.D. Vance weird, and I think it was mostly because people hadn't actually heard from J.D. Vance. Nationally, they hadn't seen him speak all that often. He wasn't appearing in ads, and so they tried it. But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about a backfire. Following the VP debate, the polls show Tim Walz is weird. Yeah, when asked, people were like, that guy's kind of weird. And maybe it's the weird bulging eyes of persuasion. Is that what they called it? Attentiveness and passion? Fine. But J.D. Vance came off as pretty run-of-the-mill. He had an excellent performance, the best I've seen in debate. But when asked, everybody just basically said, Tim Walz is weird. But I got to tell you, my friends, I have warned the Republicans. J.D. Vance may have won, but Tim Walz is likable. I keep mixing the names up sometimes, but forgive me. But Tim Walz is weird, but he's also likable. And in this poll, they did find that people kind of see him as a weird dude, but they want to get a beer with him. And that I don't get. Dude, the last person I'd ever want to get a beer with is Tim Walz. He is a liar. He's obnoxious. But hey, I can recognize that. The way he acts, that's why they chose him. They want him to play this doofy Midwestern guy who's going to have a beer on white guy tacos. That's how he talks, right? White guy tacos. I just put beef and cheese. Okay. Well, it works. J.D. Vance comes off more elite, even though he comes from a working class background. I love that, by the way, that dig. So we'll get into the political ramifications of what we're currently seeing, and it is good news across the board for Donald Trump. Though still, the markets are predicting a Kamala Harris victory, and the pollsters are saying the same. It's looking more like we may see a repeat of 2016. That is, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Trump won the Electoral College. And it's looking like what we're going to see here is Kamala Harris winning the popular vote and Donald Trump winning the Electoral College. That may change, but my friends, the election is now. It is currently happening. Like the election is literally going on right. We have election month. And there are deep concerns that the Republicans have outsourced their ground game to outside institutions and organizations, and they ain't doing so well. But I got to hand it to Scott Pressler, who is hitting it out of the park. Let's hope that's enough, and I'm not sure it's going to be. Because right now you look at the polls, and it's like, yeah, Harris is up, but not by enough. People like Donald Trump. You have the dock workers on strike. It is a perfect storm, a trifecta. Dock workers strike. You've got the Israel conflict. And it's just not a good time. And hurricane relief, I mean, trifecta, my friends. If you're the Democrats and you're in office right now, this is crazy. People are getting really mad. Kamala Harris is offering $750. That's the great relief plan. Did you lose $500,000 in personal equity? Your home is destroyed. Your car is destroyed. All of your keepsakes, your photo albums, your TVs, anything you ever had of value wiped out in an instant. But don't worry. I got $750 for you right here. Heck, my watch costs that much. They ain't giving nothing to nobody. And, I guess it is kind of an expensive watch. But it's a common product. Most people, my phone costs more than that. Your phone costs more than that. Of course, you do the plan where they charge you $20 a month for it. But still, what are you going to do with that money? But don't worry, my friends. Don't worry. I know you're stressed. Okay? But y'all can rest easy because we're making sure Ukraine has that money. Don't worry. We're going to send your tax dollars off to Ukraine so you can calm down now. That's what this country has become. We're going to bring in illegal immigrants, take jobs because the market's in a crisis. And when your home is destroyed in North Carolina and Georgia as this hurricane swept through, we're going to send your money overseas to a land most people in this country don't even know where it is. Well, Donald Trump has come out. He says he is going to revoke temporary protected status. You got to go. So we got some big stories here, my friends, to go through, and we will. But before we get started, the new song Coming Home is available now. And we talked about this last night, but going through where we're currently at, today is the last day to purchase the song Coming Home featuring Phil Labonte. And the song is quite literally about the degradation and collapse of our cities, the failures of our leaders to maintain our homes, especially as the bravest among us serve overseas or away from home. And I got to say, I part of me has pride in that this may be the end of real music in this country. And I do mean that. And what I mean by that is, you want to talk about real music? Tom MacDonald. Why? Tom MacDonald makes music, and he has a natural audience. He has people who are fans of his music, and they go and listen. Now, we've got, fans of our music, but it's substantially smaller. Don't get me wrong. I do a good podcast, I suppose. It's successful. People like watching it, but the music is kind of in the back burner. Here's the way music works now. Artists you've never heard of, for some reason, are charting 10 songs in the Hot 100. The Hot 100, of course, being the top list of the top songs in the country. Well, what is a top song? I don't know. They put it in digital stream rotation, forced it to play on people's radios, and then claimed everyone loved it. No joke. Why? They don't want a song from, say, Tom MacDonald, where he's calling out the machine, the lies, the censorship, to be culturally relevant. They don't want people to see this. That is the long con. So for us, we release Coming Home, a song lamenting the destruction of our cities, the failures, and you can see this image. In the reflection of a cracked and destroyed window is a grandmother with her grandchild, and a young man looks like he's carrying something. I don't know what he's doing. He's not wearing a shirt, I guess. And the idea was just, what happened to our cities? Well, I hate to break it to you, my friends, but the machine also does not want these narratives to be persistent. It's why they've lied, cheated, and smeared anybody who said that America was once great or could be great again. Not that the song is overtly political, but what we've seen over the past couple of years with the release of our music is that slowly but surely they have been removing the ability for independent artists to get any kind of mainstream recognition. So I suppose it really doesn't matter then if we know the game is rigged. Who cares? But here's the machine they're building. They want a young person to say, I want to be number one, right? What does it mean to be number one? Well, it used to be that you would sell albums or singles, and then whoever sold the most, they'd say, you're number one. Now it's whoever marches in lockstep with their psychotic ideology. Are you going to go up on stage at a music festival, kneel down in front of the camera and say Donald Trump is a bad person? Well, then, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to book you and we're going to put you at number one. Don't worry. Your song will play on every radio station and every digital streaming playlist. People will open up Spotify and the default player is going to put you on blast. But if you're an independent creator with a large audience, say, Bryson Gray, Tom MacDonald, etc., and there's many more, well, they're going to make sure that no one ever hears anything outside of your sphere. And that's the game they're playing. But I do think we're winning. I got to tell you, my friends, check this out. This is just a tweet. I want to give you guys an update. This month, we were up on Timcast IRL, 110,000 subscribers. Actually, it's 123,000 subscribers in 1 month. We got to I don't know how this happened. We got featured on YouTube's live page. I'm not kidding. They were straight up playing Timcast IRL default on their live page. So if you went to YouTube, clicked live, boom, you're watching Timcast IRL. And we hit 93,000 concurrents on our debate stream. We averaged some of our highest numbers, 50,000 last night. I know we fit way more than that for big shows, but this is consistent across the board. So whatever it is, some people are saying, I think y'all are actually winning. And some people have said to me, Tim, I thought YouTube was suppressing your shows. Yeah, but I think it's being lifted. I think we're winning. I wonder if what they're starting to realize in the machine is that by trying to suppress this stuff, you've only created a deep underground you cannot control. And as I've long mentioned, if you keep the censorship of the narrative light, and it's not a good thing, but it's true, you will force people to fall in line. The heavy-handed approach backfires on the machine state. And I'll give you an example. So when Carl Benjamin, Sargonacod, got banned from Patreon, I said, that's weird. If they just said, hey, Carl, please don't do this thing again, Carl would have said, you got it. Instead, they banned him outright, created a huge splash, caused a bunch of problems. I think they're trying to take the more guide the river approach, which is why they probably started featuring us, hoping that they can push us into a more mainstream line. Well, I don't know for sure. I'm just speculating. But while it may be annoying and it may be hilarious that they don't want music to succeed, you can do whatever you want. You can say our music's bad, all that jazz, but we were on the front page of YouTube yesterday. So, my friends, before we get started, also, I want to give a shout out to boonieshq.com. Why? Well, because y'all were asking. And we've restocked all of our skateboards. Everybody was demanding the boobies. The boobies board, it's Sam. He's one of the team members. It is a skateboard that says the boobies, and it has a blue-footed boobie. And I got to be honest, it's the weirdest thing ever, but I want it so bad. And so I told the crew, I was like, we need to order like 10 of these. I want to put one up on the wall. We have Step on Snecka and Find Out. And because y'all were asking, can we get the boards back in stock? We did. So boonieshq.com. But let me stop wasting your time. I know you guys here for the news. Get Coming Home on iTunes. If everybody who watched this show bought that song for 99 cents, and that's what I'm asking you to do, you got to buy it on iTunes, but you can also buy it on Amazon. And Amazon may not even count anymore. This is why it's so crazy. We've broken the system. They even tell Amazon, like, we're not going to count your sales either. Hilarious. But pick it up for 99 cents if you support the music and the work that we do. But let's just jump into the news now. We'll hang out. It's kind of a light news day, to be completely honest, but here we go. VP debate viewers believe Tim Walz was weirder than J.D. Vance. Daily Mail poll reveals more takeaways from the CBS showdown. And there's some good news and some bad news for Republicans and Democrats as well. The Daily Mail says J.D. Vance got higher marks for his debate performance, but it's Democrat Tim Walz who Americans would rather have a beer with. I got to be honest. I have people that I have worked with on contracts I would never want to see and despise, but man, do they get the job done. So you tell me you want to have a beer with somebody, and I don't know how much that matters, but to a lot of people who are all about the vibes, maybe it does. In fact, likely voters polled by JL Partners preferred Walz over Vance when asked about a variety of activities, including who'd they let babysit their kids, who'd they'd plan a road trip with, and who they'd have watch their pets. Listen, if I'm going to hire, I got to be honest, I might actually agree with that to a certain extent. Like, I doubt Tim Walz, if I asked him to, like, feed the cat, I'm not really worried about it. But let's be real. If the voters are preferring J.D. Vance over Walz in the political sense, yeah, I don't know if I'd want the CEO of a Fortune 500 to come over and take care of my cats. I'd be like, does this guy know how to do this? I don't know. Planning a road trip with Tim Walz? Yeah, because he's coming off like a doofy dad. Do you want to hire that guy who's got who's nervous and bulging eye? I just eat white guy tacos. Okay, white guy tacos. The polling suggests a deeper relatability with Walz, despite the Minnesota governor's uneven performance stacked up against Vance's polished presentation. At the same time, Walz slightly edged out Vance when likely voters were asked which candidate they felt was weirdest. Ha! Walz was the Democrat credited with dubbing Vance and former President Trump weird, saying in an early campaign rally with Vice President Kamala Harris, those guys are creepy and, yes, just weird as hell. Turns out, actually, it's you. Best debater. Walz only got 38%. Look at weirdest. Look, this is largely partisan, and that fraction of a percent that boosts Walz into the weird position is sure, I guess. I don't know. But y'all got egg on your face. You wanted this, Tim Walz. You wanted to call J.D. Vance weird. Well, you won the weird award. I know it's a single percentage point, but hey. Most annoying. J.D. Vance got the most annoying. It's silly. Funniest. Tim Walz got funniest. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know that I would call J.D. Vance funny. But are we really going to have this conversation? Who do we want to take the job? Do you want the weird, funny guy who, nah, not really. I mean, I got to be honest. Most annoying, J.D. Vance and best debater? Yeah, maybe that's who you want to be running the country, And he's not necessarily going to run the country. He's going to be with Donald Trump. But, people talk about Donald Trump being mean. I want mean. I'm sorry, I do. I mean, I'd prefer aggressive, pragmatic, and stoic. But I got to tell you, if the choice is Kamala Harris and we're talking about negotiating with, I don't know, the Supreme Ayatollah and Vladimir Putin, you think Kamala Harris is going to sit down with these people and have an effective strategy meeting and negotiation? No. She's going to go to a meeting and they're going to say, you have no strength, you are laughable and weak. And she's going to go, Trump's going to be like, that's it, I'm nuking you. Where's the football? And they're going to be like, was it a joke? Look at the story about Donald Trump and the Taliban. He brings him in for a meeting and he says, okay, here's what's going to happen. We are going, and this is a story that matters. He says, we're going to get our troops out of Afghanistan. We don't want to be there. We don't want a single American harmed. If a single hair on the head of American is harmed, he pulls out a picture, slides it across the table, and the Taliban guy goes, why are you showing me a picture of my house? And Trump says, well, you're going to have to figure that one out. Man, That's what I'm talking about. And then what happens? Trump doesn't win re-election. Joe Biden's in office. And what do? They suicide bomb at the airport, killing 13 American servicemen and women, injuring untold others, because they knew Joe Biden ain't going to do nothing about nothing. They took all the weapons. They've been selling them off, transporting across the region. And I wonder, and I have to assume it was all on purpose. So I tell you this, my friends, send in the Trump. Give me Donald Trump to go in and go to Vladimir Putin, just sitting there with his, slouched over. And Vladimir Putin's like, we are going to invade and take land. And then Trump can be like, I'm going to nuke you. And what? No, we're negotiating. No, we're not. I'm going to nuke you. I don't want Donald Trump to nuke anybody. And I'm joking, obviously. But Donald Trump's going to look him in the eyes and be like, I don't care. I am done with this. You shouldn't have invaded. What are we doing here? I'm going to bomb you. I don't care anymore. Donald Trump, he was called fickle by Walz. Fine, I'll take it. Trump can be like, okay, let's have peace. And then when Putin's like, I want this land, Trump's going to be like, no. And then he's going to be like, I'm done negotiating. Just, can we drop a bomb? We have the Moab, the mother of all bombs. Let's flatten. Let's just flatten, I don't know, some city in Russia or whatever. And then Putin's going to be like, chill. Ultimately, what I'm really trying to say is I don't want Donald Trump to bomb anybody, okay? I don't want war, and I think Trump's the right person for the job. I think that there is a real potential that Trump, he assassinated Qasem Soleimani, and Iran lost it. Trump does that, and people say, hey, that was escalating tensions. It was a bad idea. Well, now they want to kill Trump. But understand, this is the guy that's organizing strikes against our people. It's war. Okay, you attack American soldiers, you attack our personnel, you attack our allies. We strike back. It's an absurdity to think that we're going to allow that to happen. But criticize it, fine. You're allowed to. Understand that Donald Trump doing this sends a message. You are not safe. If you want war, we will bring you war. But now look at what happens under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The Middle East is erupting into what is potentially World War III. Israel is weighing a response to Iran after nearly 200 missiles, ballistic missiles, were launched at Israel, several striking Israeli territory and military bases. Israel's going to retaliate. I don't want any of the war. But I don't know what am I supposed to say? Oh, Israel, you shouldn't do anything. Iran's shooting missiles at you. And then they say, yeah, well, it's Israel's fault for invading Lebanon, but Lebanon was firing missiles at Israel. And they say, well, Israel shouldn't have attacked Gaza, but Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. Well, it goes back forever. It goes back forever. We need someone with strength who's going to go in and say, shut it down. But let me tell you guys. Okay, you say it. A lot of people were like, oh, Tim Walz isn't likable. He's a liar. And I am warning the MAGA people. You got the MAGA people out there. If you're going to play this game where you ignore the strengths of Tim Walz, you will lose. So don't do it. Saying he's likable is not to say you should like him. It's that when there are regular people watching these debates, what do the polls show? He is weird, but they find him kind of funny and endearing. And that was the play. And many people said that of George W. Bush. I remember that. They said, well, he did well because Al Gore was stodgy and came off elitist, and George W. Bush came off more like a regular guy. And neither of them were, sure. Nate Silver writes, is Tim Walz bringing vibes to a knife fight? J.D. Vance revealed Democratic weaknesses, but they may not matter. He writes, a common refrain among certain type of liberal commentator is that Democrats should be winning the election by 20 points. The economy is great. Joe Biden got a lot done, and Donald Trump represents an existential threat to democracy. It's only misinformation perpetuated by Trump, but accentuated by the mainstream media that is keeping the election close. Wrong. After watching last night's VP debate, I'm more skeptical about this claim than ever. The debate itself probably won't matter. VP debates rarely do, especially one like this that was fought to a draw in polls. In CNN's survey of debate watchers, J.D. Vance won 51-49, but that's well within the margin of error. Still, I think it's clear that J.D. Vance won. There are many reasons to critique Trump's selection of Vance, and he's one of the least popular running mates of all time. Republicans were extremely flat-footed in the period after Democrats successfully pressured Biden into ceding the nomination to Kamala Harris, oddly unprepared for the candidate swap. One lingering consequence is that Democrats were able to define Harris and Tim Walz favorably and Vance unfavorably as the childish cat lady guy who was romantically inclined toward couches. You see the game they play with the weird? The latter claim is misinformation if you're scoring at home. I mean, so is the childless cat lady thing. Okay, he made an off-the-cuff comment about a specific group of people, not all Democrats, and they misrepresent it to make him look bad. He says, but media fact checkers tend not to care about misinformation perpetuated by Democrats. Hear, old Nate Silver. Correct. But Vance probably benefited from low expectations. He's a blogger at heart, a sharp guy who can turn a good argument even if he contradicts himself later. Tim Walz, conversely, was clearly nervous in the first 15 minutes, which often bakes in media and voter perceptions. If he was rusty, he may have suffered from the Harris campaign's weird phobia of having their candidates do media appearances, something presumably inherited from the fact that it's basically the same staff that ran Biden's campaign and continually misattributed Biden's very obvious communication problems to media unfairness. Harris and Walz are perfectly fine communicators, and if they're going to run the country for the next 4 years, they can go on a few more podcasts. Indeed. But of course, they'll only go on favorable ones. To be fair, a lot of people criticized Kamala Harris for going on this very favorable interview. It was like CBS or something. I don't remember. And I'm like, yeah, but look, I did an interview with Donald Trump and I said he was the greatest president of my lifetime. And he was like, oh, thank you very much. He's a sharp kid. And I'm like, I appreciate it, right? He's 78. I'm 38. But, he can call me that because he was 40 when I was born, right? But the point is, I am a fan of Donald Trump's policies. I have criticisms of him. I pressed him on some issues, but let's not kid ourselves. Me doing an interview with Donald Trump is let's get to the heart of the issues, but you already have my support. It's not going to be a hard-hitting journalistic interview, but I will try to make sure we're getting answers because we want to know these things. People deserve it. He goes on to say, the Washington Post voter panel found that Vance won exchanges on foreign policy and immigration, even though they'd come in with substantially negative impression of him. Elections mostly aren't about policy substance, but if they were, it's not so clear that Harris and Walz could win. I got to stress this for everybody at home. They may be saying, Nate Silver may be saying this, well, it was a draw. The polls show that Vance and Walz are tied. J.D. Vance was the couch banging dude. They had defined him. People hadn't heard from him. He stood up there with low expectations. People thought he was going to do bad. They thought Walz was going to win. And J.D. Vance came out slightly on top. Called the margin of error, fine. But here's a guy that was unfavorably viewed. The debate substantially improved J.D. Vance's standing nationally. And it's lining him up for 2028. A massive success for the GOP. And Tim Walz was already Coach Walz, who was calling them weird and smearing them. And that has been turned on its head. Right now, understand this. They may be saying it's a draw, but that's from a 2-1 advantage that Walz had before the debate. A massive boon for the GOP. Does it translate into Trump earning points or votes? Like I said, man, I don't know what. Less than a percentage point, maybe. And that's in the margin of error. They say these VP debates don't really matter that much, but heck, I had a good time, right? They go on to say, elections mostly aren't about policy substance. If they were, it's not so clear that Harris and Walz would win. That's because the argument from Democrats should be winning by 20 points, guys, only make one side of the case. The economy is good, though not great. Wrong. Stop playing this game, dude. Look, y'all know it. And I know it. I'm running a company here, okay? I've got employees. I've got products. I've got a bottom line. I know what our costs are. And for you to come here and tell me after I have conversations with my vendors and my clients, and I'm saying, like, where are we at? And they're like, things are not going well. It's insulting to me, okay? Now you go to each and every one of these workers across the country who are telling you outright they can't afford groceries. And you say the economy's good. That's a lie. Inflation, wages adjusted for inflation are down. They come on, they say, actually, wages are up. Yes, but inflation is up more, meaning you may have gotten $1 raise, but your bread costs 12 cents more. Your milk costs 30 cents more. Your eggs are 50 cents more. Your gas is up, and that dollar raise went nowhere. And you are getting poorer as this goes on. I'm pissed off. I am sick of hearing this. Nate Silver, stop playing this game. You can put out government numbers and say things are going well. And then I have to deal with data costs. I have to deal with all of the back end costs, gasoline, cars. And you know what? It ain't easy. It ain't easy. Now, don't get me wrong. Our business is doing well. But I'm just pissed off because I'm looking at our margins shrinking due to rising costs. And I'm sick of the lie, and y'all know it watching at home. You know the economy is not good because you live it every single day. And these elites, these people who have so much money, look, the people say, I got a super chat. Tim, you're rich. What are you talking about? I go to the grocery store once a week. I buy groceries. I do it myself. I don't walk around with personal bodyguards. I'm out here in the country in West Virginia. That's what we do. I go to the grocery store. I deal with my own shopping, and I see the prices going up. And every time I'm like, man. Now, it may not hurt me as much as it hurts you. The point is, I see this. But when I run a company and I'm looking at my bottom line costs, we need drinks for guests. We need snacks for guests. We've got drivers. We've got gas. We've got car repairs. Why are car repairs going up so much? I see that. But then I see these people, these personalities in the media who get paid high salaries, don't run the business, don't do their own grocery shopping. And they're like, everything's fine. Everything's great. Run a company and then come back to me and tell me things are going well. Now, I suppose if you're in the business of Antifa window repair, maybe you're like, hey, look, we've been doing window replacements. It's great. Sales are up. But for the average person looking at costs now with the dock workers strike, spare me. I am sick of hearing the economy is good. They're going to say, he says it's good, but not great. Republicans are well in their right to remind voters of the high inflation earlier in Biden's term. Biden did accomplish a lot on the domestic policy front. The Trump, and you know what? I'm going to give a shout out to Byron Donalds, who went on the Breakfast Club and said Kamala Harris was warned, and the Democrats were warned, the Inflation Reduction Act. This is going to, or I think it was Inflation Reduction. These are going to raise, it's going to raise inflation. And she's the one who voted for it, broke the tie, and pushed it through. And now I'm hearing from all of these elites how everything's fine. Don Lemon coming out being like, what do you mean? The economy's good. Dude, I'm just pissed off. I am pissed off hearing this. It's just, they, you know what I wonder? Maybe Democrats were just like, let's find economic improvements just for the Democrat areas and make sure everybody else suffers. But I ain't buying it for 2 seconds. He says the Trump democracy argument isn't really my beat, but I basically buy the case from Vox's Andrew Prokop that although the guardrails mostly held in Trump's first term, there's no guarantee they would for another 4 years, especially after January 6th. In his worst moment of the night, Vance refused to admit that Trump had lost the 2020 election. Maybe. I thought Vance handled it well. However, the exchanges Vance won in the debate reveal real weaknesses for the Democrat ticket, too. In surveys, immigration consistently ranks as the second most important problem for voters after the economy. And you can't just attribute that to misinformation. Border crossings are way up. They are. I mean, look at this. In 2020, in Trump's term, border crossings were down from the Obama era. And as soon as Joe Biden gets in, it is a crisis. And they lied. And I wish people had better memories. I really do. But they lied every single day. There's no border crisis. What border crisis? You're lying. You're making it up. And then when it became impossible to ignore because we have tent cities, we have camps being built in places like Chicago, they said, oh, yeah, about that. Kamala Harris ignored this for the 3.5 years of her term only until now. They have flooded your homes with non-citizens. They have given away the birthright of Gen Z and Gen Alpha and those to come next. Somebody built a house in 1940. 1940 is old house. And throughout the years, it passes down. The family who lives there, they live there for 30 some odd years, maybe. And then they hand it off to their children and retire and move somewhere else. Or maybe they pass on and then the children inherit the house. That house was built and it gets handed off to the next generation. Those young people, they say, I got a house. Maybe they sell it. Maybe they say, I don't want to live in this area, so we're going to sell it. But they inherit the revenue and that building stands. And then it is bought by another young couple. Today, that is not what is happening. Today, our children in this country who have grown up and have become men and women who are supposed to be inheriting the workforce, they are entering the workforce, they are becoming managers, and within the next couple election cycles, they will be the leaders of industry. And the houses are being given away to non-citizens who came here illegally. I'm sick of this. You cannot run a system this way. I'm just pissed, man. The economy is not good. If the economy was good, they wouldn't be flooding this country with illegal immigrants to fill jobs. That's the argument they made about the Haitian migrants. They said they're here legally because we had factories and they needed people to work there. Okay. Well, I got to tell you this, Americans ain't having kids. And so the Democrats are like, let's just open the floodgates. Anybody can come. That's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. We've got cultural problems that need to be solved, and we need responsible leaders to do it. Instead, we have the Democratic Party. They want to kick the can down the road. They want to extract as much as they can from the system as it burns to the ground. Republicans, for the most part, aren't much better. I mean, the neocons and the establishment largely are just on board with whatever. They say, slow down there, Democrats, but then allow it to all of it to happen. There's a handful of Republicans I think do a good job, but we are looking at serious problems. Hurricane, Biden-Harris offering $750 to hurricane victims. Are you out of your minds? Stop giving hundreds of billions of dollars away in foreign aid when our own country is in trouble. Nothing is more offensive to me, and this, in my opinion, should be disqualifying for anybody who wants to be the president. Kamala Harris, the nerve to come down and say, oh, we've got $750 for you. What is that? 2 weeks of groceries? Where are they going to put them? They got no refrigerators anymore. The streets have been wiped out. Their cars are gone. I remember when Katrina happened. I knew several people who had fled the area that had come to Chicago. They told me that they were given $2,000 after everything was destroyed. And that's like, man, really? That's it? $2,000? What are you going to do with that? I mean, maybe it helps you rent a hotel for a little bit. And I thought that was nothing. I mean, granted, you got $2,000. Sure. How about that? But your life was destroyed in Hurricane Katrina. You were forced to flee. Now it's gone down. I'm sickened by this, man. The crises that we are seeing, okay? The port strike is about to make things substantially worse, and they've been pretending that the economy is good. What game is this? I don't understand. You know what it is? I know what it is. I know what it is, and I hate to say it, but Democrats don't have kids, okay? They do, but the reality is they overwhelmingly have less kids than Republicans. I think Democrats have 1.3 or 1.4 kids per couple. Republicans are around 1.8. Actually, Republicans might be a little bit higher than that, but I think it's like 1.8. Republicans want to have families. They tend to be, you get the more conservative leaning and moderate leaning younger people who want to buy houses and have families, and they're pissed. They're going to vote for Trump. But the Democrats that want to party and they don't mind living in cubicles, they're just going to be like, I guess the economy is good. I have a job and I can still buy groceries. But if you have a family, you're saying my kids need to eat and I can't afford it. They don't pay me enough on my salary to support a family. This is untenable. Now, I respect the port workers. I respect them for going on strike because, you know, there's this great video from the president saying we have supported and sustained this country for so long and we've been ignored, but now you're going to see who we are. I respect it. Get what you want. Get what you deserve. But there's a crisis there in that automation is coming and this won't last forever. Jobs are going to be lost. There's nothing you can do. I want you to understand, my friends, with AI and automation stepping in at a rapid, accelerating pace, they are flooding this country with illegal immigrants at the exact same time. Competition for the remaining jobs is going to escalate. This idea that just with automation comes automation repair jobs and maintenance. Yeah, what, 3 people? The machines do most of the work. You're going to eliminate 1,000 jobs for 10. And then you're going to bring in 20 million illegal immigrants. They are burning this country to the ground, and we are sitting here watching. But I tell you this, as bad as it is, I want you to understand what matters. They can say what they want about J.D. Vance. They can say what they want about Donald Trump. But there is something real to contend with. A hurricane crisis and no out for the American people because, hey, you know, we're going to fund Ukraine, guys. Oh, no. Oh, anybody who opposes us funding Ukraine must be working for Russia. Are you kidding me? My criticism of the U.S. spending money on foreign conflict instead of helping people who just lost their homes? Psychopaths. We got the port workers strike about to hit hard. Within the next week or two, your prices will skyrocket and there will be shortages, and there already are some. And then we've got the escalation of war in Israel. I can only tell you this. This is an apocalyptic scenario for Democrats. So be it. None of this would be happening if Donald Trump was president. I'm sorry, it sounds partisan, but it's true. In 2014, I was on the ground in Ukraine, in Kiev, over a month covering the story of the Euromaidan protests, I was there and I got to go to the toppled statue of Lenin, shed it on the ground as they smashed it with hammers. Now, I got out of that country. I was not there for the deepest of the conflict when bullets were flying, Molotovs were flying. It was pretty crazy, but I was there just before. I'm not a war guy. I've never been. And I have no problem saying this. If you want someone to go on the ground and cover bullets and Molotovs and machine guns and rocket fire, you need someone with military experience who can do this job. A vet who knows how to go in and can do that reporting for you. Me, I'm an urban conflict guy. When it was protest and unrest and police, that's the extent of my capabilities. I have no problem admitting that. That's my specialty. So I got out. I was there when that was going down in 2014. And I watched from the videos as I was leaving of the Molotovs flying, the raid on Yanukovych's mansion and the fall of that country. And then Donald Trump got elected and the conflict stopped. While Donald Trump was president, I visited Ukraine once again, talked with my friends, and asked about the civil war that was going on. And they said, no, we don't call it that anymore. It's just separatist conflict. Russia backed off. Things were calming down. The Abraham Accords. I'm sorry, but it's true. No new wars. I'll give criticism where it's due. An increase in drone strikes. We can make arguments for it. As we're pulling troops out of the Middle East, drone strikes help maintain a military presence that stops the advancement of enemy forces, China, Russia, etc. Taliban. Removing transparency, I think, was a bad thing, but it ain't perfect. Donald Trump should not have fired missiles on Syria. He did that. But he planned withdrawal. He was negotiating with North Korea. What happens the moment Joe Biden gets in 2020? Russia begins escalating its forces on the border. I mean, Trump shattered ISIS. This is what I was watching under Barack Obama. Syrian civil war, conflict and crisis, the expansion of ISIS and the caliphate, and the horrifying stories of rape, murder, and capture. And then Donald Trump gets in, flattens ISIS. Russia begins to back off. And they say, well, it's because Trump was doing things that Putin liked. Yeah, he was saying we're going to negotiate and do deals on gas, and we're going to stop pressuring with militaristic power and subterfuge. Was that it? Now look where we are. On the verge of World War III. So yes, my friends, I'm sorry, I hate to say it. We would not be here if Donald Trump was president. Please, I implore you, criticize Donald Trump's behavior. Criticize the way he talks. Criticize how he posts mean tweets. Do all of those things. It was always allowed, and heck, I agree with you on a lot of those points. But we're talking about right now the structure of this planet and whether or not our economy is going to be able to sustain the people who live here. And I can only tell you that, please, for the love of all that is holy, I will take the mean tweets. Just help get people, help get relief to the victims of Hurricane Helene. Let Trump post how Liz Cheney's a fat pig or Rosa. I don't care. Get relief to these areas so these people who are crying on television and begging for help can get the help they need. I am sick to my stomach with the garbage advocacy for a foreign country who is not an ally for a war that they're involved with that is not our people, and we're sending resources over there. I am livid at what is going on in the Middle East and how we have become entrenched in these conflicts. And it makes it all so much worse when I see a hurricane rip through our country where our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors are suffering with people trapped on roofs in major flooding. And the best they can do is $750. And I say, guys, this $250 billion that we just dumped off in Ukraine, where most people don't even know where that is. I don't know. Maybe we could have fixed pipes and bridges and roads. But I tell you this, it's so much easier now. We don't even got to make an argument for what they should have done back then because they can do it now. They can go in Congress today and pass the Ukraine Military Fund Diversion Act and say all of the funding that would be going to Ukraine will now be diverted to the suffering men and women and children in America who have been devastated by Hurricane Helene. And you know what? They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. You know they're not going to do it. We can sit here all day. We can cry. We can beg. We can bang on the table and we can demand it. We can send postcards. We can bang on doors. We can go to our members of Congress and tell them you do this or we vote you out. And they will not do it. They will make sure that at every meeting, they will find some circuitous BS way to send your tax dollars, your labor overseas while Americans suffer. I am sick of watching this happen. And it is all exacerbated and drilled home by the fact that there are people in this country suffering right now, and they're going to do nothing about it. Welcome to America, ladies and gentlemen. The petrodollar is more important. International hegemonic power is more important. We got to make sure we can get cheap gas into Europe because we're competing with China and Russia. We'll be damned if we're going to help the people in this country who are suffering. Why? Because you are a cog in their machine. You're a digit and a number. You're an economic statistic. They're looking at how much they can produce, and they got it simple. I'll make it simple for you guys. This is the way they view it. If we go in and help the economy in North Carolina and in Georgia and try to save these people who are suffering, we will generate X amount of dollars per person. But I got to tell you what, if we support the war in Ukraine, we're going to get X times 2 out of the Europeans. And that's how they view this. The economic output of a stronger Europe with cheaper gas is more important to them than the people who are losing everything. It is a psychotic way to view the world. They treat it like the only thing that matters is the utilitarian approach. The individual will suffer. Loyalty be damned, honor be damned, make the money, get paid, and make sure we push back on our enemies. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not naive. I understand that this competition that we have internationally matters. We are looking at China that wants to expand in Afghanistan, and they are. They're extracting lithium. You got the Belt and Road Initiative. They're rapidly expanding, and they want to attack Taiwan. Russia ain't no saint. Vladimir Putin is a scumbag. Okay, his invasion of Ukraine is wrong. I totally get that. But this idea that Americans suffer, I ask you this, for what point is any of what we're doing? I will ask you again, what is the purpose of the petrodollar? What is the purpose of dominating and pushing back China or pushing back Russia for international hegemonic power if the end result is Americans suffer in crises and we do nothing for them? I think about this stuff every single day myself. What is the point of doing any of this job if all you're going to do is sacrifice those you care about the most and those that you love? It is meaningless. If we are here for those that are part of our family and our friends, then that is the purpose. We are a wealthy nation. We have secured assets and resources worldwide, and the petrodollar has made us wealthy. But to what end? I'll tell you to what end. So when a hurricane hits and destroys the homes and lives of millions, we say, this was the reason, so that we can come in and fix it all. We're rich. We're a wealthy nation. We got your back. But I can't imagine this. I can't imagine this being it's the reality. We're watching it. It would be as though your house is on fire and your roommate, your family member is screaming in flames. And you're like, yeah. But the guy across the street, I got to make sure that he doesn't win neighborhood watch. It's like, dude, what's the point? What's the point if he wins that, if you're going to let your family burn? I'm sick of this stuff, man. I don't know. I get riled up. Anyway, we do have other stories to get into, of course. We got the predictions on where we're going. We got more optimistic stories. Let's talk about memes being legal. Memes are legal, my friends. But rant over, I suppose. We'll grab your super chats and see what you guys have to say. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with everyone you know. It's the greatest show, morning show. Everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. Well, to be honest, y'all tell me it's the best show ever all the time, so that makes it true. That's all that matters. But become a member at timcast.com if you haven't already, and support our work. Here we go. UP Shut says, like the smash button. Smash the like button. As you guys know, as we often say, one like equals one fight again, because they tried to kill Trump twice, technically 3 times. And we do get a big update on that as well. There's a big news story. The feds are trying to indefinitely delay the indictment of the would-be assassin. It looks like there may be a conspiracy here. It's kind of wild, for real, maybe. Seawit says, Tim, have you thought about doing something with the fighting game community? It's very tight-knit and grassroots. It'd be great shifting the culture. I don't know, maybe. Never really thought about it. Deplorable Miss Drake says, the way you look at old buildings would make a great music video. Also, check out Trump's idea for America 250th birthday bash. Well, the way I look at old buildings literally is a music video. It's called Coming Home. And it's literally walking past these old buildings and then showing in the reflections of the windows what life used to be like and things like that. Not as perfect, but that's the general idea. That's why we made it. All right. Daniel J. Korka says, Flex reported that Waltz's students nicknamed him Tim Sandusky. He does look like the next Jerry Sandusky. Just saying. I don't know. I think he's a weird guy. A lot of people are calling him out for that when he said that his son witnessed a shooting at a community center. A lot of journalists, actually, like corporate press, said, fact check, because nobody believes him. I mean, it's kind of wild. I'm not saying he's lying. All right. Cisco says, could you make the tab for coming home available? Someone has to write the tab up, you know. I can tell you that the chords are A minor. I think it's A minor and then D and then E. And then I think there's I think that's it. There's a little bit of flair and stuff in there, but it's E. And that's the gist of it. That's the gist of it. Misa Moore says, I wanted to buy the song, but I don't do Apple and I couldn't make an account on the website or either version of iTunes in Windows 11. Well, today's the final day. And we are trying to sell as many as we can. Largely because we made a song. We want to sell it, right? It's like we made skateboards. We want to sell those. So we're hoping that people buy the song. If you go to getcominghome.com, it should redirect you to Amazon now, where you can also buy the song. The issue is they're telling us now that even Amazon might not count. They're basically saying song sales don't matter anymore, which is insane. It makes no sense. Song sales should be the only metric that matters. But they're like, no, streams. But streams don't represent anything. Streams are random. A song is put on a streaming playlist, they play it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not completely random. People will, I go on my app and I pull up songs and play them. But the overwhelming majority of streams come from auto rotation. So what's your rank? The station just said, put this in rotation 3 times out of 4, and then people will listen to it. Now, there are people who will like the song, and that does have an impact. I get it. But buying a song, I tell you this, every single musical artist wishes they could sell music. They filed lawsuits and went nuts when people started streaming their songs in the early days. It was apocalyptic for them. But here's the reality. Most musicians have no influence. I do mean it. All right, my friends. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a gander. Yesterday, it was really amazing to see that Timcast IRL was featured on the homepage for live. And sure enough, literally right now, this is amazing. Timcast News Live is the number 2 feature on YouTube. So I really do appreciate that. We're not even the biggest live stream right now. This is kind of wild. We're the 4th biggest stream active on YouTube, but they featured us at number 2. I'll take it, YouTube. Smash the like button. YouTube sent me a notification saying that people don't like my videos enough. I'm not kidding. That's why I do the poll where it's like 1 like equals 1 fight, because that increased the amount of likes. The average person will come on the show, they'll watch the show, and then they'll leave. And I got this notification where it was like, why aren't you getting more likes and comments? If your super chats were higher, we'd feature you more. And so it literally said, like the show. And if you do, they'll feature it. I got to tell you right now, we are the number 2. And so here's what this looks like. You go on YouTube Live. Not everybody sees this, but apparently people were texting other crew members being like, dude, you're featured on the front page, like on the live page, not the front page. If you go to youtube.com, you see a bunch of stuff. But if you go to youtube.com/live, boom, this show is playing in the second slot. Yesterday, it was number 1. So literally, if you open live, Timcast IRL, wow. And, we jumped 120-something thousand subscribers in a month, which is massive, and it's some of the biggest growth we've seen ever. And I think it might be largely due to the fact that they are featuring us. So I hope they're not censoring us anymore. I feel like it's a moderate show, and it's good, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. Joe Diston says, the music industry scam is the same game that Hollywood plays celebs vote blue to keep themselves the number 1%. Keep the rest of America from stealing their job status and cash. We need our own music industry. Save the crocodile. Indeed we do, my friends. And I wonder if we should just make this. I'm not kidding. Billboard is meaningless. I mean, who cares if you're getting your song in rotation? I think we need to devise a new algorithm for determining actual success in music. If Tom McDonald puts out a song and he gets, 6 million hits without being in the DSP, the digital streaming playlists, I think that's substantially higher than any one of these artists who just, for some reason, are all over the Hot 100 because their songs are in auto rotation. I'm in my Tesla and I say, play music from today. And it plays the same song every third song. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, downvote. I don't like this song. Like, there's a lot of modern stuff that I do like. Like, Jelly Roll's actually super good. I see him on the Hot 100. I'm like, I get it because I'll play some Jelly Roll. He's a good dude. Also, I think he does like ads for Tunnel to Tower. So I like that guy even more. But there's some artists where I'm just like, dude, they won't stop playing this no matter how many times I say no. And they do this with some podcasts too. But hey, it is what it is. If y'all buy the song at Get Coming Home, you can get it on Amazon. If you don't like iTunes, we're like, well, you know what we're thinking was they tell us Amazon may not count. That we may rank really high and make all these sales, and they don't care. But if you buy the song on Amazon, at the very least, those who normally wouldn't buy it because they don't want to get iTunes, y'all can buy it on Amazon, click a button, boom, you got it. And it's better than nothing. All right, Redline says, cover The Man Who Sold the World by Bowie. Epic song. One of the best. Everyone agrees. Josie Flanagan says, please shout out my dad, James Sigler. He passed away at 9/21. He was a great man. He is the one who got me into listening to political talk radio, which led me to love podcasts like yours. Thank you, Tim. I love listening to you. Shout out to your dad. Sorry to hear. But I do appreciate him, getting you involved and getting y'all active. And I hope you guys share the show and enjoy it. All right. Ecularis says, Tim, one of your super chatters the other day incorrectly said you would die without water after 3 days. You can die. You can die fast, far longer, and you can dry fast, far longer, and be fine. World record was a prisoner who went 19 days in solitary. Yikes! But you don't want to do that. Please drink your water. Mark Santos says, Tim Walz and his wife are the older couple in apocalypse movies that seem nice and invite you for dinner before telling you they eat people. I thought that's where you were going, and I kind of agree. Oh, geez. All right. What do we got here? Let's see. Small PP Big Dreams says, good name, by the way, pull up Rep MTG X post on electoral map and hurricane, and you will see why Democrats are slow-walking relief efforts. It's evil. MTG on X, which one was it? Rep MTG? Because I think she has two. Or is it just her other, or does she have both? Let's see. Not only are hurricane victims only given insulting $750 after being left stranded, FEMA gave $1 billion to house illegal aliens in the last 2 years. That makes me want to throw up. Bro, I'm down to help everybody. I'm down to help illegal immigrants. I'm down to help legal immigrants, but it's called triage. That's what it is. We have to help the people who live here and provide. I'll tell you this. Secure your own mask before securing the mask of the person sitting next to you. We make money in this country. That money pays taxes, and then they print debt and do all these other things so they can keep spending our money. If the American people do not survive, your machine doesn't exist. But they don't care. I'm just so tired of it, man. Here we go. Let's get some news rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been rough. I know it's been tough, but we have good news as memes will remain legal. Judge blocks Gavin Newsom's AI censorship bill as violation of the First Amendment, saying most of AB 2839 acts as a hammer instead of a scalpel, serving as a blunt tool that hinders humorous expression and unconstitutionally stifles the free and unfettered exchange of ideas, which is so vital to the American democratic debate. Hear, hear. Libby Emmons for the Post-Millennial writes, a California law signed by Governor Gavin Newsom late last month that was a direct reaction to his disgust at AI parodies of his friend Vice President Kamala Harris, has been struck down, or him actually, after U.S. District Judge John A. Mendez ruled that it was in violation of the First Amendment. Now, I want to stress this. What Libby is saying is not an opinion statement. In response to a viral video of Kamala Harris saying that she was an awful candidate and Joe Biden was a puppet of the deep state, Newsom tweeted literally, this should be illegal, and said he would sign a bill to do it. Saying it right there to your face. The plaintiff in the case has been granted a preliminary injunction, stopping the law from going into effect while the case goes forward. Now is your chance, ladies and gentlemen. While they have placed an injunction on this, you have every opportunity to post memes and use AI to do it. It's time to have some fun and be funny. That's what it's all about. Now, I'll be the first to admit I am terrified of AI. And terrified is not really the right word because I feel like I'm more, I don't know, what's the right word? It's, you guys ever see Galaxy Quest? It's Tony Shalhoub's character where he's just like, we're in outer space, I guess, and aliens are attacking us. What can I do? I'm kind of laughing, you know? AI is coming. And it is terrifying what it will do. It's going to automate people's jobs away faster than you realize. Journalists are about to get fired. Movie stars are about to get fired. We are entering the reality where you're going to put on your Apple Vision Pro and you're going to say, okay, Apple Vision, make me a movie about Spider-Man, but he's baking a birthday cake for his nephew, and it's a rom-com. And it will just do it. It'll be like rendering. Let me tell you about this program they got. Here's a free shout out to Opus. Did you know that some of the biggest Instagram, let me tell you about what AI is doing. On Instagram, you're going to see fake women, and it's getting harder and harder to tell who the real and fake people are. You got some guy, and he's sitting in a room, and he's typing away, and he's automating Instagram influencer posts from fake women. You've got some of the creepiest and weirdest stuff on the internet popping up all over the place, but there are people who are having their videos made by AI. I'm hearing conversations of AI podcasts. Seriously. Imagine this. We made this joke about Timcast IRL a while ago that it's actually all AI generated and this video is not real. It's not actually live. It seems like it's live. This is live. I'm actually sitting here and I can prove it by saying it is 10:56 Eastern time and Tom McCormick just had a super chat at 10:22 a.m. And in the chat, someone said bad manolite. Yeah, it's getting wild. But here's the reality. We are very close to it all being fake. You will one day turn on a podcast and it will be for people and they won't be real. And they'll be telling you things they've made up, but you won't be able to tell the difference. And we're about a year away from that, 1 year. So I can truly accept that there are crises in AI. But my friends, banning AI speech using these tools to make memes and parodies ain't the answer. I don't know if I have a good one for you, but let's read a little bit more. We'll explain what's going on and why they're freaking out, but we'll talk about what the solutions may be. Libby goes on to say, in July, a fake campaign ad for the Harris-Walz campaign went viral. In the ad, a likeness of Harris appeared to stake a claim to being the first DEI candidate to be on the presidential ticket. People found the obvious fake to be hilarious, including Elon Musk, who tweeted it out. Quote, manipulating a voice in an ad like this one should be illegal, Newsom posted. I'll be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure that it is. Newsom and the state of California were promptly sued for First Amendment violations by YouTuber Christopher Coles, who shared the video, and he won so far. Mendez wrote that he ruled in favor of the injunction because Coles is likely to succeed in showing that AB 2839 facially violates the First Amendment. Journalist Michael Schellenberger shared details of the ruling on X. Brilliant and bravo, he wrote, quoting the ruling. In New York Times v. Sullivan, the Supreme Court held that even deliberate lies said with actual malice about the government are constitutionally protected. These same principles safeguarding the people's right to criticize government and government officials apply even in the new technological age when media may be digitally altered. Civil penalties for criticisms on the government, like those sanctioned by AB 2839, have no place in our system of governance. Hear, hear. And shout out to Michael Schellenberger. He does great work. Michael, we should come on the show and we could talk about this. In the ruling, Mendez wrote, AB 2839 does not pass constitutional scrutiny because the law does not use the least restrictive means available for advancing the state's interests here. As plaintiffs persuasively argue, counter speech is a less restrictive alternative to prohibiting videos such as those posted by plaintiff, no matter how offensive or inappropriate someone may find them. Mendez's ruling is in favor of the axiom that the cure for bad speech is simply more speech, not restrictions on speech. He continued saying that especially where political speech is concerned, counter speech is the tried and true buffer and elixir, not speech restriction. AB 2839 is unconstitutional because it lacks the narrow tailoring and least restrictive alternative that a content-based law requires under strict scrutiny. He also went on to address the Harris fake that Newsom had objected to, saying that the video portrayed Harris as saying she is the ultimate diversity hire, noting that after Musk shared it, it got over 100 million views on X alone. After Newsom signed the bill into law, Musk shared the video again, saying the governor of California just made this parody video illegal in violation of the Constitution of the United States. Would be a shame if it went viral. My friends, I'd like to break down for you exactly why you cannot ban AI-generated parody. We'll start with this. Now, I wish courts used actual arguments, and they don't. And it's really annoying. Like this argument like, oh, we can't ban AI because it's not the least restrictive means of prohibiting this thing. Like, well, what? Dude, let's just entertain a real argument. If I can go on my show and say, my name's Alex Jones and they're coming for your income tax. Or I can say, listen, people, Israel is in need of our defense because a World War III is coming if we do not. If I can say, listen, you got to clean your room. I'm not saying I do the best impersonations, but the point is this. There are people who actually do them very, very well. And there are many people who hit it so perfectly, people are like, wow, that really sounds like Trump. And when they do these voices in these cartoons, people think it is. Now, if a person can imitate another person's voice, you can't make it illegal to do an impersonation. The radical left, you can't make that illegal. And so if I practiced every single day to actually try and do good impersonations, not just weird voice on top of my head, I might actually get pretty good at it. In fact, I probably would, like most comedians do. They got that talent, right? Are you then going to say, that's illegal because it sounds too much like you're actually Donald Trump? That's stupid. So if somebody uses a tool to do it, no, we can't. Here's an example. If we say you're allowed to make a picture of Donald Trump buying a hot dog, and then they're like, I'm criticizing Donald Trump by showing him buying a hot dog. If I use an AI to make that, that's illegal now? That's ridiculous. The tool being used to make the content shouldn't matter. Just because it's easier to do now for the average person doesn't mean all of a sudden it's illegal. It's the stupidest thing imaginable. Magic tricks should be illegal because everyone can do magic and everyone's confused as to where the red ball went. That's stupid. Now, Elon Musk has been calling them out, accusing the Democratic Party of threatening free speech. The Democratic Party openly wants to take your freedom of speech under the guise of what they deem to be hate. And it's true. During the debate with J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, J.D. Vance criticized the Democrats for wanting to ban speech, and Tim Walz interjected in the debate specifically only threatening or hate speech. Define hate speech. They say hate speech is language that marginalizes or denigrates marginalized groups or certain groups of people or whatever. And it's like, what? That's what they say. Hate speech is like, you get the point. It's if you said like this group of people does a bad thing. How come all of this group is responsible for the world wars? Yeah, it's hate speech. You're criticizing a group. That's stupid. You're allowed to be wrong. And you're allowed to be stupid. The thing I hate most about how they want to ban speech is that what they're really doing is telling stupid people they're not allowed to be part of the system. Because if you're a dumb guy and you go on the internet and say something really dumb like, I think the earth is flat. I mean, they don't really care as much about that. But the point is, and actually they do ban these videos, which is kind of wild. They used to have very popular and prominent flat earth videos on YouTube, and they banned them. They didn't ban them, but they down-ranked them, so they made it very, very difficult for anyone to find. And the argument was, well, it's bad. And if people are stupid enough to fall for flat earth, come on. People are allowed to believe the earth is flat. What a stupid reality we live in. Stupid both because people might think the earth is flat. Everybody knows it's hollow. I'm kidding, by the way, but they'll probably downrank me for that anyway. But you're allowed to be wrong. The idea of banning hate speech is the fundamental, it's the root situation of if you're wrong, you're banned. So I see a person come out, and I talk about Israel derangement syndrome quite a bit. There's a lot of things to criticize Israel over, and I have to say it all the time because there are people who are like, stop defending Israel. I'm not defending Israel. I'm criticizing people who think Israel is the root of every problem in the world. Like, that's just insane. I'm sorry. The people who think Israel controls the United States, you've lost it. They've got influence. They've got disproportionate amount of influence relative to other countries. You betcha. But we've given Ukraine more money than Israel, and we've only been giving Ukraine money for 2 years. I mean, technically longer than that, but I mean in terms of the billions. Ultimately, my point is, if I disagree with you and you think I'm wrong, if you say, Tim, you're so dumb, you know so little about Israel, fine. Okay, I'm wrong, but I'm allowed to be wrong. I'm allowed to say what I think is true. And you, so were you. You're allowed to go on YouTube. You should be, but a lot of people do get banned in this regard. Probably because they overlap it with the Jews, and that's where they're definitely wrong. But I disagree with that too. You're allowed to be wrong, and the solution for bad speech is good speech. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. I tell you this: when if someone comes to me and they go to my business and I'll put it this way. Let's say I go to buy white guy tacos. You know, I go to a store and it's got white guy tacos up top, and then there's a big sign saying all we do is put beef and cheese on a tortilla. If I walk in and the white guy behind there says, "Get out, you're Asian," I'd be like, okay, I don't want to eat there anymore. Dude's going to spit in my food or something. I don't want to be there. Let him be wrong. Now, I'm not, in terms of the business argument, I don't want to hash this whole thing out, but I actually more in favor of being like, you can't do that. Don't discriminate in the public sphere for arbitrary reasons. Ultimately, my point, though, is if someone's speaking and they're outside and they're saying things that I think are wrong or racist or whatever, I say, I'm glad I heard you say it, because I don't want to be friends with you if this is the way you're going to act around people. Now, I will be friends with some people I think have bad opinions because I want to change their minds. And being friends with someone isn't always about whether or not we have weird views on foreign policy or something like that. But speech, it needs to be allowed. And banning hate speech is basically saying some people are wrong and mean about it, so they're not allowed to speak. Well, how are you going to correct them if you don't know what they're saying? Silly. But there is another bill that was blocked. And this is where it gets interesting because AI, my friends, I think is the apocalypse. Or maybe it's paradise, depending on which political persuasion you prefer. California governor blocks landmark AI safety bill, says the BBC. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has blocked a landmark artificial intelligence safety bill, which had faced strong opposition from major technology companies. The proposed legislation would have imposed some of the first regulations on AI in the U.S. Newsom said the bill could stifle innovation and prompt AI developers to move out of the state. Senator Scott Wiener, who authored the bill, said the veto allows companies to continue developing an extremely powerful technology without any government oversight. The bill would have required the most advanced AI models to undergo safety testing. It would have forced developers to ensure the technology included a so-called kill switch. This would allow organizations to isolate and effectively switch off an AI system if it became a threat. It would also have made official oversight compulsory for the development of so-called frontier models of or the most powerful AI systems. The bill does not take into account whether an AI system is deployed in high-risk environments, involves critical decision-making, or the use of sensitive data, Mr. Newsom said in a statement. Instead, the bill applies stringent standards to even the most basic functions, so long as a large system deploys it. Now, I don't know enough about this. I'd have to go in and start reading through this to determine whether or not it was right or wrong. But I can tell you this. AI is apocalyptic. My friends, please understand me when I say this, and I mean it as no joke. AI is the apocalypse for human life as we know it, unless we get it right, which is very difficult. Let's entertain some possibilities. What is human life? What do we do? Well, humans, like most life, start with a rudimentary collecting free energy off the surface of the planet and organizing it into complex systems. Certainly, self-replicating proteins do such a thing, and, all matter sort of does. Various instances of matter will come together through the various fundamental forces. Ultimately, with enough different chemicals and different structures, you get self-replicating proteins, single-celled organisms. And what is the function basic? What does life do that we can observe simply? It absorbs energy, converts that energy into complex systems. A squirrel eats food and then makes more squirrels. Now, that food was random energy strewn about the ground. Why does this matter? Human life, as we know it, will end when AI becomes a more efficient means of organizing free energy into complex systems. Many scientists view the end result of humanity itself to be the final stage in evolution will be that humans destroy themselves through various means, but we will create self-replicating machines of artificial intelligence that will propagate themselves throughout the universe for God knows why, just because that's what we do. They'll start colonizing planets, building up these machines. And it may start with humans saying, hey, let's unleash a bunch of probes that will consume energy and rebuild more of themselves using nanobots or something like that. And then they'll set up colonies on various planets we can always just go to. Think about this reality. We launch a probe into space and we say it may take 1 million years, but that probe can self-replicate over a long enough period of time. It'll land on a planet, start making more of itself, launch onto other planets, make more of themselves. And then in, 10 million years, there might be 700 planets that are fully capable of supporting human life. Who knows? I don't think humans make it. You know why? If you take a look at the trajectory in technology, what do people do things? Like, what's the end result? What are people doing things for? Well, right now, population is collapsing. The birth rate is down. I'm going to tell you what I see from AI. The one thing I fear the most is going to be read-write Neuralink capabilities, which Elon Musk is working on. And I don't think it's the worst thing so long as the strong survive, and that will require strong cultural foundations, moral foundations, and an iron will. Not everybody has it. But I got to tell you, my friends, I truly believe if we get Neuralink Vision Pro, you put on a headset, you plug, you stick a Neuralink, wireless component to the back of your head, and it blasts your brain with waves to write information to your brain or whatever it does. If we get to the point where you can have read-write capabilities in your mind, we can simulate realities infinitely in your own brain. I tell you what people are going to do. Who wants to live in the real world when you can be Arthur Foredragon, leader of the Alliance? You can fight dragons all day and throw fireballs from your hand. Not really, but the AI, the machine, writes it to your brain. Already, we are seeing AI-generated videos, AI-generated photos, and we are a year out, maybe 2 years, from AI-created movies. We're a couple of years from a fully AI-rendered video game, where you're going to go to your Apple Vision or whatever you're using, and you're going to say, make me a video game where I get to play as Cyclops from the X-Men, and I've got to save Jean Grey from Magneto. And it's going to go, rendering, here's your game, and you'll play it. And it'll be smooth and seamless. Ain't no developers required. AI will automate the whole process. What happens when you can actually read-write to your brain so you can physically experience the game? People are going to lock themselves in the pods. They're going to shove a tube down their throat full of cockroach gunk so they can feed themselves, but it doesn't matter to them because they plug into the Matrix and they can eat steak all day. I don't care if it's not real. Tastes better, right? Who wants to eat the weird soy protein gunk like they did in the Matrix? That's where I fear we are going with AI. So I wonder what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Further, there's another crisis that we have with artificial intelligence, and that is the algorithmic problem. How does that work? Well, AI doesn't actually know what we want. YouTube suffered this problem a long time ago, and I'm glad to say that they fixed it, but it's tough. People were exploiting the algorithm on YouTube using AI-generated videos, which were psychotic, and AI-generated thumbnails, whatever they thought would get the most clicks. So they'd upload 1,000 videos to YouTube. Then their program would analyze which ones did the best, make more of them, and it was basically evolving this AI to exploit an algorithm made by man. The end result was Elsagate. Elsa running around, no words, jokers chasing her with a giant syringe and sticking her with it. It was creepy stuff, and it got worse than that. Hitler with a woman's body in a bikini doing Tai Chi with the Incredible Hulk. Not a joke, not an exaggeration. Those videos still exist on the internet, though YouTube started to do away with them. My fear is what I call the corn crisis. The corn crisis is when, because we subsidize corn, and it's a hypothetical, we make an AI, and the scientist says, oh, great AI, please analyze our governmental systems and economy and figure out the most efficient way to improve human life. And the AI is going to go, analyzing. I have determined that you love corn. Corn love. People love corn. You subsidize corn, produce everything from corn, plastic from corn, fuel from corn, sugar from corn. Make more corn. And then the algorithm just says, look, why bother with ham sandwiches, which has a 17% positivity rating, when corn has an 89% positivity rating? Shifts all production into corn. And then in 20 years, people are wearing corn cob costumes. Their phones are made of corn cellulose, fiber, plastic. And the only thing we do is corn. And you say, well, that's silly, Tim. You go to the restaurant, you're like, I'll have the corn fritter with a side of corn and the elotes, and I'll have a corn dog. Because the AI doesn't understand. It just sees efficiency. And I'll give you a really good example of this. We use an AI program. I use it. It's an extension for YouTube. It wasn't always an AI thing. It was more so here's an easy way to upload thumbnails. It's an extension for YouTube where it's like you can auto-generate thumbnails through what it would do is you'd click make a thumbnail. You'd grab a frame from the video that you thought was good and then choose it as a thumbnail. Today, it has AI capabilities. They're not very good. But this program analyzes all of the titles that exist on YouTube. And when I put in the title of a video, like this one is Democrat Smear Backfires, now it's keeping it a little vague, a little neutral. What it tells me to do is the AI pops up and it shows me rankings. And it's like, use this headline instead. And they don't work. They're bad headlines. But it'll say something like, the shocking truth about the Democrat smear leaves me confused. Or like, I'm like, I'm not going to make a headline that says that. The AI only knows that other people do this a lot. And it makes an assumption based on the views other channels get over what must be good. But what works for those channels doesn't work for my channel. The AI does not get it. It sees ubiquity. It doesn't know what it doesn't know. If 10 out of 10 people say razzmatazz in their titles, and then one guy gets a lot of views, the AI is going to tell you to say razzmatazz. Not because it actually does anything, but because they see that word appearing in all the videos. It's a nonsense word. If people adopt behaviors that are negative, but everyone's doing it, the AI can't tell the difference, it will tell you to perpetuate a negative behavior. This, my friends, I think, is the AI apocalypse. But rest assured, right now, your memes are safe. And so I can respect that tremendously. Thank you guys for watching. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with everyone you know, because this morning show, the Tim Pool Daily News Show, is the greatest show. Everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. And I've got a super chat right here that says it. Tim, you are great. Yeah, this is the best show ever. That's not a real super chat. I was just making that up. But either way, thank you for watching the show. This is going to be the segment for 1 p.m. The next segment will be up at 4 p.m. But if you are watching live, stick around. We got big news, and we're going to read your super chats now. So get your super chats in, my friends. Get your super chats in so I can read them. And, you know, I don't know if this YouTube featured thing is new or whatever, but I just want to say, like, this is beast. I'm really excited. This is so cool. Right now, it looks like we're the second highest feature. Yeah, we are. And if you go to youtube.com/live, not everybody sees this, but the second feature is this show. And last night, Timcast IRL was the #1 feature. I think that actually is translating to subscriber growth, and that could be why, you know, we're seeing big boosts in the subscriber counts. Thank you, YouTube. I guess I'll take it. Let's roll, baby. Let's roll. All right, what have we here? Rawa says, Tim, please mention that illegal migrants getting $1,000 a month. That replenishes every 28 days. Americans are second-class citizens. How about Eric Adams giving $4,000 to illegal immigrants to permanently settle in New York? And the best we can do is $750. I'm struggling to express my feelings right now because the words that I use, I think would break the rules. I am angry. I am very angry. I want a rising tide to lift all ships. But you and I know that they are giving away billions to people who are not citizens of this country, and that our own people suffering disasters are being left wanting. So I tell you this, my friends, I want to give all of the illegal immigrants and all the children of the world whatever they want. I'll tell you this, all of my money, every penny I have, how about that? Only when our borders are secure, our families are safe, the fentanyl crisis has been solved, the pipes in Flint, Pittsburgh, Newark, etc., have been refitted and are fixed for sure. Some say I think in Flint we've done that, but I want to guarantee I want healthy families. I want those suffering in this country to be healed and helped. And once we get rid of poverty and homelessness, then we give our money away. But I got to tell you, in your house, if you're the dad or the mom and your son is sick and in need of medicine, but you decide instead to give your money to the neighbors, you're a bad person. You have a responsibility to your family. And I say that of our politicians today, you have a responsibility to your family, and that is the American people. And the fact that you'd leave them high and dry like this is a disgrace. A disgrace. Michael Balmer says, did anyone else notice the increase in U.S. Army and USMC recruiting ads on social media, especially YouTube? Must be a war brewing, and the deep state knows DEI hires can't win. Wars don't have safe spaces after all. Yo, I want to give a shout out to Hung Kao, running for Senate in Virginia. I see his signs all over the place. This guy is awesome. I got a segment for you. He has this quote that is so based about recruitments and drag queens, and he is very based. So he's a vet, you know. So you can see it. He is a calm, stoic guy. He looks like he's someone who's seen some ish. You know what I mean? He looks tough, and he's got this really great commercial where he's like banging, and he's like talking about conflict and combat and running for office. I hope this guy wins. Man, talk about strength, integrity, and I'd like to hear more from him. I don't see enough of this guy. I see his signs all over the place, but we're a month out from the election, and we need to see Hung Kao doing more shows. I certainly want to get him on. He's not that far away, but I wonder what his media strategy is. Either way, I respect it. He seems like a calm guy. Maybe he doesn't want to come on a show when we're kind of more irreverent and maybe a little bit more bombastic. But I can respect it because I'm a big fan, especially when I show you this next segment that I got for you after this one. Corey Fox says, "Grats on the 2 million subscribers, Tim. Isn't that a wild thing? It's crazy. In 1 month, we jumped 123,000 subscribers. So it's really something magical, and I'm eternally grateful. We were seeing big growth. We've started a bunch of big, earlier this year, we started running a commercial, which worked, but certainly didn't go that crazy. I wonder if YouTube's, I don't know. Look, all I know is I went on YouTube Live the other day, and I saw a video player playing Timcast IRL by default on YouTube's live page. So that's like, you turn the TV on, you go to live, and boom, Timcast IRL is playing. And I'm like, maybe this is why we're gaining lots of subscribers. I don't know. But it's certainly based, very based. And one thing I noticed, too, is that our concurrent viewer count for this show has been fluctuating. And, I wonder if that's because new people are coming in and they're seeing the feature. All right, let's get it. We got Questionable Quality saying, "Hey, Tim, great show. I find myself in a weird place as my dad is a right-leaning man who suffers from Israel derangement syndrome. And my mom teaches DEI at Walmart." Wow. Wow. I'm a moderate Trump supporter who doesn't know how to converse with either side. You know what, man? I would just say this. To anyone with any kind of derangement syndrome, I would just say, like, you should never go all the way. All right? You got to leave room for flexibility. And that is to say, if you don't like Israel, that was always allowed. If you don't like Donald Trump, that was always allowed. But in the absence of evidence, the solution that makes the least amount of assumptions tends to be correct. So the moderate position is usually the safer bet. That means sometimes the right has the right answers and sometimes the left has the right answers. In this day and age, the left tends to have a lot of wrong answers. But it didn't used to be that way. That's just the shift that we're seeing. I don't care what your derangement syndrome is, be it Trump or otherwise. Trump, so I told the story before. I was at a poker table and this guy, so some people knew who I was. And one guy says, "Who are you voting for?" And I was like, "Are you kidding? Trump, of course. I don't know." And then this guy lost it. He's like, "You're going to vote for Trump? What is wrong with you?" He says, "That man has never told the truth ever. Everything out of his mouth is a lie." And then some other guy went, "Oh, come on, dude. He talks about sports. He's not lying about everything." And I'm like, you see what I mean? If you find yourself saying that everything that we're facing a problem with is Israel, that's Israel derangement syndrome. If you're someone who says, "I am upset that Israel bombed Gaza and hit an orphanage, killing a bunch of children," that's not Israel derangement syndrome. I have no problem with that criticism whatsoever. And I agree with it, actually. I'm not saying you're wrong for saying that. But people who have derangement syndrome point to a single thing and say it's absolute. Donald Trump has lied about everything. He said very fine people. He quid pro quo, all of these things. And it's like, my guy, it's not true. You irrationally hate this man. It is akin to a phobia. Not the same. I wouldn't call it a phobia. I said phobia is an irrational fear of something. Like you see a clown and you're like, "Ah," and you run screaming. Like, dude, it's just some guy. It's a guy in makeup. It's gross. I don't know. I don't like clowns, but I'm, scared of them. Phobia. This is derangement syndrome, where we had a guy on the show and someone called in the members show and says, "I'm deeply concerned about the fentanyl crisis in West Virginia." And the guest was like, "Well, Israel is running the security software." I'm like, hold it. My guy, what does that have to do with Israel? He's like, "Well, the Israels and the Jews." And I'm like, here we go, dude. That's Israel derangement syndrome, right? We had Anya Parampil on the show. She wrote a book. She gifted it to us. And she was like, "I know you're going to call this Israel derangement syndrome, but, Israel and AIPAC, they have done these things." And I'm like, no. No, not at all. You don't get me wrong. That's not Israel derangement syndrome. Like, if you're sitting here saying, I am upset about AIPAC, I'm like, okay, but yeah, I hear you. Loud and clear. A political action committee or whatever with disproportionate amounts of power and spending tens of millions of dollars. I totally get why you're upset about that. That's legitimate criticism. Here. Next question. But if you're going to come to me and say that, like, Israel controls the United States and it's a parasite that's doing guys, okay, this country is comprised of many different things. Okay, many different ideologies, special interest groups. Some of them have lots of money and no power. Some of them have little money, but lots of power. And Israel certainly, and their lobby, have a lot of power, but they do not control us. There is a religious component to why American members of Congress and people in this country support Israel. And there's a long-standing generational alliance that people will just say, sure, fine, blindly. So come to me and criticize all of the military spending, and I'm going to say, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, good point. But come to me and tell me that Israel did 9/11 or something and all these other, I'm just going to be like, dude, look, man. Donald Trump did not say very fine people of neo-Nazis. You guys, you got to moderate. Or at the very least, pretend to moderate to try and be more convincing. All right. Aaron Tabor says, AI is what brought me to computer science, and I welcome it replacing as many jobs as possible, as quickly as possible. Mine, software engineering included, unrestricted research. Peter Gohawk says, Tim, have you seen the bombs that Russia and Israel dropped? They're huge. There's a good video on Jesse on Fire. It's the World War III video. I've seen it. Dude, it's absolutely nuts. It's crazy stuff. Let's get to this story, my friends. But before we do, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel. Actually, let's just let's roll with this. I'm going to pull up this here. Get Coming Home. I think it links to Amazon right now. Looks like it's not linking anywhere. For real? It's crashed. Nope, there it goes. I was wrong. It worked. Amazon Music. We got it right here. Let me pull this one up because I'm going to promo. We're going to promo the song. But there you go. Coming Home featuring Phil Labonte. Honor to have worked with a rock star. Why did my monitor just... Oh, okay. There we go. Monitor just cut in and out. Let's grab this story. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many people who believe a conspiracy may be afoot as it pertains to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Now, strangely, in the early days following the first attempt on Donald Trump's life, nobody understood how this was possible and questions were flying. How did this guy Crooks get past security? We learned that he was flying a drone. None of it seems to make any sense. It followed with some resignations. Well, then we saw the Ryan Ruth story, a man who was lying in wait at Trump's golf course with an SKS rifle, waiting to take the life of Donald Trump. Now, many people are wondering who could have been involved in this. And I made this point. Oh boy, the media got so mad. I said, this guy fought in he worked in Ukraine as a volunteer to recruit fighters for Ukraine's volunteer coalition. They say he had nothing officially to do with them, but he was like submitting people and trying to help. He's a very pro-Ukraine, anti-Donald Trump guy. Now, how did he get the resources to fly around the world? Where did he get the weapon from? How was he able to do this? I said this. If this man has any official ties to Ukraine and was working there, then I believe it is prudent of anyone investigating to determine if there is some connection to Ukraine. I did not say that he was working for Ukraine. I did not say that Ukraine tried to kill Donald Trump or anything like that. I said, certainly there is a connection there with questions because Donald Trump, should he get elected, is not going to support the Ukrainian war effort. He's going to support ending the war through peace talks and compromise. Well, now, Biden-Harris DOJ asks for indefinite delay in prosecution of would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ruth, citing large amounts of new evidence. Now, I don't know what this means, but it seems to suggest the story is much bigger than we realize. It is certainly not just a man who happened to have been there. They're finding new devices, new items of evidence. There's new writings, hundreds of items of evidence. Stands to reason there's more to the story. And the reason why they're suspending prosecution or trying to is that they may have said the charges we have brought are inadequate compared to how big this really is. Perhaps, my friends, conspiracy. But before we jump into the conspiracy, of course, head over to getcominghome.com, which now redirects to Amazon. Buy the song. You just you go there and you go to purchase options and you can buy the song for 99 cents. And when you do, you are supporting the work that we do in building culture and making music. And Maybe we need to do more press tour stuff to promote these things. Matt Walsh went on a bunch of shows for Am I Racist? But that was it's a much bigger release than what we do. We have one song. We have 1 week to sell as many as possible. And we need your support. If you like us and the work that we do, buy the song for 99 cents. If you love the message and you believe that our cities are being left to rot by failed politicians, 99 cents. Get Coming Home. You can get on Amazon. The reason why we open up the Amazon thing is iTunes is really hard for people to buy. And so a lot of people are like, I just can't do it because it doesn't work. But if everybody who listened to the show right now bought the song on Amazon for 99 cents, we would be number one in the world with this new release, sending a message. You cannot destroy our cities and get away with it. I don't know, man. Maybe we shouldn't be so overt. It's not like in the song we're outright saying Democrats are bad or anything. But I think we got to do something. The music that we have today that's on the top of the charts is just like drinking booze and getting drunk, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, How about something better? GetComingHome.com. Here we go from the Post-Millennial. Federal prosecutors on Wednesday requested an indefinite delay in the proceeding with the trial of Ryan Ruth, the man charged with attempting to assassinate Trump in September, citing a large amount of evidence gathered since his arrest. Prosecutors requested that Florida District Judge Eileen Cannon designate Ruth's case as complex. They wrote in the filing that over the past 2 weeks, the U.S. has interviewed hundreds of witnesses. It has also executed 13 search warrants in Florida, Hawaii, and North Carolina, and seized hundreds of items of evidence, including multiple electronic devices. There were reportedly over 100 outstanding subpoena returns in connection with the investigation, as well as thousands of videos to review. All videos, still images, text files, and audio files constitute approximately 4,000 terabytes. What? Of digital review to complete, the filing stated. No way. Yo, that's nuts. What? The filing stated that Ruth's attorneys did not oppose to the indefinite delay request. A trial start date of November 18th has been set by Cannon on Tuesday. Whoa. Guys, there's something big going on. I'm willing to bet that there's a deeper action here. We know that Iran wants to kill Donald Trump. I don't know if this guy's involved with that, but apparently he did write in a book saying, go ahead, Iran, or something to that effect. 4,000 terabytes of evidence to review? How is that possible? Now, hold on. All videos, still images, text files, and audios constitute 4,000 terabytes. That's nuts, my friends. I'm wondering what the scope of this is. Understand, how many terabytes do you have on your computer? I mean, I don't even know what the average. We have this crazy server. What do we have? We have like 200 terabytes or something. I don't know what the average personal computer has in terms of terabytes because I don't have one. But I got to tell you, 4 million gigs? No, we don't have 200 terabytes. I think we have like 20 terabytes or something. But 4,000? This can only mean, in my opinion, multiple people have been roped into this. More than just this one guy. That's crazy. What is this? They say Eddie Ray Ruth, brother of the first Trump shooter Matthew Crooks, is the guy who murdered Chris Kyle. What is that? I don't know about that. I'll keep it to the story. I'll look into that in a bit, though. They said the FBI is also in the process of conducting forensic tests on evidence, including ballistics testing, fingerprints, and DNA comparisons, which will likely result in the requirement of expert witness testimony. Ruth allegedly camped out near Trump International. We know this. It came about 2 months after Crooks. Look at this filing. This is legit crazy. An indefinite delay. And they're not objecting. This could mean that he gets held forever. Ladies and gentlemen, what are the possibilities that there are foreign actors, Iran or otherwise, that may be involved in funding and supporting this guy's efforts? I had a conversation the other day. I have this conversation a lot. People don't believe it. They say to me, would you really believe that Iran tried to take the life of Donald Trump, or were Trump to lose his life to an assassin? Would you really believe it if they said Iran? And I'm like, well, it depends on the evidence, right? I mean, if the government just comes out and says Iran did it and that's it, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. That's not enough to justify a war. But do I believe Iran would do it? Yeah. Do I believe they want to do it? Duh. It's crazy to me that there are people who are actually like, no, it's more likely the deep state did it. And I'm like, guys, there is an argument to be made. Sure, I get it. Because we know about Operation Northwoods and the attempts the U.S. has had in the past. We know that false flags are a real thing. And think about the scenario. Donald Trump gets killed, Iran gets blamed, and say it's before the RNC. Nikki Haley becomes the nominee. Then she says, I'm going to win, and I'm going to get revenge on Iran. There we go. War, baby. So it's an argument, but there's still a simple answer. Donald Trump ordered the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. He was an Iranian hero, but he was also responsible for a lot of the destruction in the Middle East. So Iran comes out and says, we will have our vengeance. That's it. It's not hard. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, you can make arguments about circuitous plots. Maybe, the Secret Service or whatever are looking the other way because whatever. I don't know. But if the news came down that Iranian-linked national of some other country or an Iranian guy somehow got in the country or an assassination team who we know are here, plotted something and managed to bypass security. If the story made sense, the evidence lined up, of course I think Iran did it. And I got to tell you, it's one of the scariest things to myself, to admit this to myself. If Iran takes the life of Donald Trump, I will bang the war drum as loud as I can. And I am an anti-war guy. I don't want war. War must be avoided. But I tell you this, you will make no argument that would ever be successful, that should an adversary of our country take out one of our political leaders to this degree, Donald Trump, in an election year, you will make no argument that we should do nothing. The only response is a declaration of war. And it's terrifying, but it's the truth. Now, I may be anti-intervention, but what does intervention mean? Intervention is usually a reference to, Iraq's got weapons and the Kuwait, and there's a conflict with Kuwait, so we're going to send in our troops. Get out of here. That's not our conflict. If Iran were to take the life of Donald Trump, that is an act of war against us that must be answered for. And we will rain down, as the United States, hellfire upon the evil that would dare make such an act. And you know what? I had libertarians agree with me. Libertarians, of all people, don't want war, but please tell me this. And that's why I say it's scary to me, because I've gone over this in my head over and over again. How do you as a country maintain your treaties and your diplomacy if you tell the world that we can't even defend our chief diplomat and commander-in-chief? Every negotiation we'd have after that, they'd say, you can't even protect yourself. You can't protect me. Your negotiations are worthless. We'd go to them and we'd say, hey, don't you build military bases over here? And they're going to say, oh, yeah, what are you going to do about it? You couldn't even protect your own president. But if they make a move on us to such a degree, it must be answered in kind. That is the purpose. And Congress must declare. But you know what? They wouldn't. And that terrifies me. Because what does that mean, a large-scale war? So I would say this of Iran. Back the F off. Because I don't want war. But mark my words, there are good people in this country of good conscience who fight against war every single day, who will turn around with a frown and rage and say, how dare you? And especially for me, I say this to you, Iran, how dare you right now? There was a guy they arrested who had been paid by Iran to try and organize the assassination of Trump. And people say, you really believe that? Yes. Iran said they were going to do it. It's on video. They're like, well, we're going to get you, Trump. Now, I don't trust a lot of people in this country. And that worries me because they give polls where they say that they would prefer to see Trump harmed. But I say this to Iran. I'm here. We got libertarians over here. And we're basically begging a de-escalation of conflict. That's going to be good for all y'all in the long run. Over there in the Middle East, wherever you may be, we're saying we don't want to be in Afghanistan. We don't want to be in Iraq. We're tired of funding Israel. We don't want to be involved. But, bro, when you fire 200 missiles at one of our allies, you're making it really hard for us to argue how we stop doing this. I'm a moderate. I'm not a staunch anti-Israel, hardcore anti-interventionist libertarian. I would prefer it if the United States was not entangled and entrenched in foreign conflicts. I don't get it. I don't want to be involved. We've been in this alliance for decades. We've been spending all this money. There's got to be a better way. But if you start bombing our allies, what am I supposed to say? Let's just leave our allies hanging and they're going to get wiped out? I don't believe in that. So right now, when Iran launches missiles at Israel, they're basically saying to me, call for war, do it. And I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want war. I want de-escalation. Please stop. Let's de-escalate. They won't. Now, don't get me wrong. There's criticism for Israel there, too. But it's a tit for tat across the board. Hamas attacks Israel. Israel responds. Lebanon responds. Or Hezbollah responds. Israel responds. Iran responds. You want to drag us into it, you see where this is going. If Iran were to make these moves, it would be apocalyptic. And I don't want that to happen. So don't make reasonable, calm, anti-war people bang the war drums. But when I sit down with libertarians and they say, oh, no, yeah, we would have to. And there would be a declaration that is the defense of this nation. Don't do it. That's what gets me worried. But it gets me worried, too, is that we're looking at domestic escalation as well. I'm going to just stress this to you guys. I don't want war. Nobody should want war. I will never advocate for intervention and conflict to such a degree. Intervention, of course, is like Ukraine. I'm anti-intervention. We should not be involved in Ukraine's conflict. They're not an ally. I get it. Burisma, gas pipelines, Gazprom. I know all about it. Okay, but you've not made a legitimate argument as to why we intervene in foreign wars like this. If Vladimir Putin launched a cyber attack on the United States and there was proof positive, there was definitive evidence, undeniable, or Vladimir Putin came out and said, today we launched a cyber attack on the United States for this reason and that reason, I'd say, okay, bring it on, baby. You do not attack us. I do not tolerate that. The United States has its problems. Intervention is bad. We need better foreign policy, but I still don't tolerate attacks on this country. I don't think you should either. Defense should always be proportional. I think Donald Trump did this masterfully. Let me give you an example. A drone was shot down. Donald Trump ordered a retaliation, canceled it at the last minute. When he was informed 500 Iranians would die in the retaliation, he says, I don't think the taking down of a drone warrants killing 500 people. And it brings a tear to my eye. And I'm clapping for this man. Proportional response. The strike on Iran could have escalated tensions, and Trump took the right move, in my opinion. Sometimes they strike down your drone and you say, okay, but, you know, we got to make the right choices here. Donald Trump crossed the DMZ into North Korea without a security detail. And the stories I've heard from this, it's incredible. The Secret Service is scrambling. They're panicked. What's he doing? All in the name of peace. That's what I believe in. So back off and let us secure our borders. It's crazy to me that, I'm going to say it again. The Iranian leadership is saying they want revenge. Well, if they just back off and accept their defeat and the loss, and Trump can get in, yeah, America's gonna focus on itself, and it's gonna be an end to this garbage foreign intervention policy and nation building stuff. Take it, because the alternative, if you go after Trump, is gonna be a lot worse. Anyway, look, man, I don't know what's gonna happen with this assassination thing. There's more information. I'm gonna leave it there. And smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with everyone you know, because it's the greatest show and everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. You can follow me on X at Timcast. Pick up the song Coming Home featuring Phil Labonte at getcominghome.com. You can buy it on Amazon. Super easy to do. If everybody watching right now bought that song, we'd be number one. So I'd appreciate your support. This segment is wrapping up, but we'll be back for the next segment at 6 p.m. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all then. But of course, for the rest of years, we are going to get to this last segment. I saw this quote from Hung Kao. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I see his signs all over the place. He's blaming drag queens for low military recruitment numbers, but his quote on the matter is beast. I like this guy. He's nailing it. And I'm like, he needs to do more press. This guy should have a higher he should have 1 million followers with the stuff that he's saying, because this is leadership material, man. All right, before we get into all that, I'm going to grab your super chats and a couple of these, see what you have to say. War Machine says, in the case of natural disasters, we should be offering 100% funeral cost coverage, 50% of the cost of rebuilding the home, and 3 years of tax exemption so they recover quickly at least. Here. And if we can give billions of dollars to Ukraine, I know we can do the same for these people suffering in this hurricane. I know we can. All right. Mike Coyne says, need help. Ex-wife fabricated false evidence and Judge Scheffler of AC refused to look at my evidence to grant her a permanent TRO so I could never contact my kids. Lost my 2A rights, on probation, and domestic violence registry. Jeez, man. Sorry to hear. That's crazy. Yikes. All right. Onel Eduardo says, I have CDS, communism derangement syndrome. Well, let's talk about this. No, you don't. And I don't. Communism is bad, but I do not believe communism is causing all of the world's wars, or that communists have been secretly running the United States since the 80s, or the Soviets have never was a trick. Like, no, like, dude, just no. Okay. Just, no. Communists are bad, but there's no secret cabal of communists, and like, they're not running the banks. They're not running Okay? There are varying political interests of varying degrees of power that press their influence in these other areas worthy of criticism. And I'm not going to pretend like there's a secret cabal running everything. The World Economic Forum, they have a lot of power, powerful elites, but there's not one Illuminati that's running everything. It does not. I wish things would be more organized. Let's go. Amelia B says, fire Kama Lama Ding Dong. U.S. suppliers are shutting down exports because raw materials are not coming off their ships. Ports we work with in Houston, Jacksonville, Florida, and Nebraska are not having any issues shipping to and from the U.S. and Puerto Rico. Interesting. Hannah Legg says, correction, Ryan Ruth's brother, Eddie Ruth, murdered American sniper Chris Kyle. Is that true? There's weird stuff going on, man. It's weird. Subscribe to the show if you haven't already. Become a member at timcast.com to support all of the work we do and get access to our members-only shows. And, of course, as always, get Coming Home. Oh, you see what they did? It's so annoying. We don't want that story. That's not the story we're trying to pull up. You see how it just jumped like that? We want the Virginia Senate story. Because I try to pull the tab in, and then it sends the tab to the wrong thing and just flips it over. But we're going to talk about Virginia Senate candidate Hung Cao. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a man running for the Senate in Virginia. His signs are all over the place where we live. You can't drive a minute without seeing that sign big and bold because people believe in this man, Hung Cao. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Cao, C-A-O. He says, drag queens are responsible for our military recruitment numbers. Is that true, good sir? Here's this is a guy. What is this? Who's this? Pictured Yeoman second class. Is it Yeoman? Joshua Kelly in drag. Her stage name is Harpy Daniels. Stop. Drag queens are not trans. We have had drag queens on this show explain to us, do not use she, her pronouns for me. I'm a man. Drag is different. But they're doing this fake thing. Weird. They say his name is a drag queen, is Harpy Daniels, and he was tapped by the Navy to be a digital ambassador. Is that what the Navy and the military is? I mean, look, I don't understand the two eyebrows. That's fine. I'm not saying this to be mean, but this is a clown. That's not an insult. It's literally what a clown is. Weird looking clothes, strange behavior, meant to be humorous and entertaining with lots of makeup and a big wig. And here's the individual right here. It's a guy. Okay, it's not a trans person. It's a dude who dresses up in drag. All right, well, let's tell the story. And this is a Hung Cao, retired Navy captain, blaming drag queens for their recruitment. They say 2 years ago, the Navy recruited 2 years ago to do outreach. Check it out. Hung Cao, retired Navy captain, said was asked about lagging military recruitment numbers during a debate and bizarrely put the blame squarely on drag queens. Bizarrely? You mean accurately. Local news anchor Deanna Albritton brought up Cao's previous statement, ridiculing the Biden administration for its DEI-based military recruitment policies. She asked the Senate hopeful why such policies might have had an impact on the Department of Defense. In his first stab at the question, Cao attacked Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan that led to the deaths of 13 U.S. service members. But when pressed on why DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, caused low recruitment numbers, Cao blamed a drag queen the Navy recruited 2 years ago to do outreach. Yo, this quote, send it home, quote, when you're using a drag queen to recruit for the Navy, that's not the people we want. What we need is alpha males and alpha females who are going to rip out their own guts, eat them, and ask for seconds. Those are the young men and women that are going to win wars. Which prompted clapping from the audience. Yo, I'd stand for that. Rip out their own guts, eat them, and ask for seconds. That's what I'm talking about. That's what win wars. What will win wars? Kelly announced on TikTok, he was referring, of course, to Joshua Kelly, who is a non-binary drag queen named Harpy Daniels. The unpaid role allows her to highlight her journey from performing on board. I want to stress, drag queens are males. They're not trans. So there's no problem saying he for a drag queen. Drag queens came on the show and told us this. Y'all conflating everything. It's weird. The ambassador program, which is meant to appeal to younger audience, was discontinued in March 2023 following harsh criticism from former service members and conservatives. Cao proudly clipped out his anti-drag queen answer and posted onto his X profile where it's got 750,000 views. Okay, I got to pull this one up because I saw this and I was just loving it. So he he posted this one. Dude, shout out. This guy should have more followers. I'm going to play his ad too, because I keep hearing about this guy, but I feel like we're not hearing enough. And is this the where there? I like this guy. Check this out. Here we go. And he's like such a stoic guy.
When you're using a drag queen to recruit for the Navy, that's not the people we want. Look, what we need is alpha males and alpha females who are going to rip out their own guts, eat them, and ask for seconds. Those are young men and women that are going to win wars.
Please, audience, please.
I love that. Please, audience, don't clap for this. This is an ad that he had a while ago. Got 2 million views. It's 3 minutes long. I don't know if I'll play the full thing for you, but I want to show you just a little bit of this because this guy's fantastic.
This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners. Our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world.
Wow.
And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen. I've been all over the world. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go. I'm Hung Cao, retired Navy captain, running for United States Senate. I still believe America can be the land of opportunity. I have an obligation to fight back against those who want to control our lives and disrupt our families. We need real fighters, not politicians, not bureaucrats, not keyboard warriors acting tough in a custom-made suit. No, not here in America. We must refuse to be intimidated. We must be fearless. I'm Hung Cao. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message because I'm not done fighting for us.
I don't know how this guy does not have like 1 million followers. I'm a huge fan, especially after seeing this at his debate with Timcast. I don't live in Virginia, man. I live in West Virginia. Okay, we're West Virginia. We're way better. Virginia's gone deep blue, and there's a lot of issues with it. But man, that ad, it went viral before and we talked about it. But I was like, I'll play a little bit. I played the whole thing. I'm like, it is too good. He nails it. He absolutely nails it. And I got to tell you, man, how I feel about immigration. He nails it. Because I say this all the time. Bring them all in. Bring every single immigrant. Every single one. It's got to be done legally. You got to come in through the normal process, respect our laws, and come here. And here's this guy that I think he exemplifies my argument so well that I'm happy to highlight his ad. His family fled the communists in Vietnam. He comes to the United States. So what does he do? he says, I am going to give it all back. And he serves for 25 years. Talk about respect. I never served. Who am I? That he would put his life on the line like this for someone like me. Who am I? Some skateboarding dude who hung out in Chicago and ran around filming stuff, I guess. And I feel honored to know that there are people who have come to this country and hold such reverence that he would provide a service to me with respect to my country. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to see. I don't see that with the current administration. When they bring in the Haitians, and I got no beef with the Haitians, but they come in illegally, they apply for temporary protected status, and then they don't assimilate properly. I don't blame them completely. I don't. I blame an administration that is bringing in people who don't give back in the same way. I'm not saying every single immigrant needs to join the military and go off and fight, but I'm saying you want to talk about an example of respect for our country is a person who was brought here, saved from the communists as a child, his family given an opportunity, and in turn they said, we can never repay you enough. And so what does this guy do? He serves in the military, and now he's running for office to protect the values of this country that he says saved his life. Man, that brings a tear to my eye. Almost a tear to my eye. But I well up inside. I'm like, damn, dude, what did I do to deserve that? Well, I am a child of this country, same as all of you. Not all of you. Some of you may be migrants. And not every single immigrant who comes here has to go and fight wars or do anything like that. But have respect. Have some respect. That's it. And I don't think that's a dirty thing to say. I don't think it's a mean thing to say. You come to this country legally and you file the paperwork, you do everything right. You say, I respect what you guys have built and what you have to offer. And I thank you for giving me a chance. And I say, bro, I got your back any day of the week. You come to my country through the legal process. You come hang out with me. I'm going to buy you pizza. I'll take you out to dinner because that's respect and I appreciate it. And I want you to come. I want the immigrants to come to this country. We can use skilled labor. We can use people who are good at their jobs. I want you here. I do. But you got to do it with respect. Now, look, let's put it this way. Here's how I view myself. I'm a rich kid. What does that mean? No, I didn't grow up rich, but I did grow up in America. So I'm wealthier than most people, even coming from a poor family in the United States. And we look at each other with a relativity in poverty. So you may be poor in the United States, but compared to some of these other places, especially war-torn countries, you're the rich kid. I didn't fight in any wars. I did not build the bridges or the buildings that made this country great. Well, I did build this building with assistance from contractors and everybody coming together and the resources that y'all have provided as members. And those things that we build, we'll pass down all the same. But when I see someone come to this country and say, I know it's yours. I know your parents, built it for you. I'm going to come here. I'm going to ask you politely if I can take one of the rooms. I'm going to pay my bills. I'm going to pay my rent. I'm going to help with the chores. And I'm going to make sure that we have a good time together. I'm going to be like, bro, come on and hang out. We'll play Magic the Gathering. Maybe we'll watch some MMA. I'll order the pizza and the wings. And I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're hanging out. But if you break my window open and come in here and then demand I let you stay, I reject that 100%. But you know what? I'll give him a shout out too as he brings up another really important points. The banging on the door. When they were arresting pro-life activists for sitting in front of abortion clinics. But far leftists rioted in 2020, and we are seeing some convictions. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate that. Justice and accountability. It's not about retribution. But largely, these people got away with it. People in D.C. rioted during Trump's inauguration. Hundreds got away with it. In fact, they sued the city and they got paid $1 million+ in penalties or whatever. The city had to pay them, despite the fact they were running around smashing things. Oh, you couldn't prove an individual did it. This group showed up with the intent to do it. So you know what, man? I saw this guy's comment about the military and the drag queens and eating their own guts. And I was like, it's about time somebody said it. And I know people have been saying it, but I thought to myself when I saw that, I was like, he's so close to DC. How does this guy not have 1 million followers? Maybe he just doesn't keep as high of a profile, but I wish he did because I hope to God he wins. Tim Kaine, I don't know about that, man. But this guy, he looks so fantastic with everything he's saying. And I just want to stress this again. His message is, America saved my life, so I served for 25 years, vote for me. And I'm like, you bet, dude. I call that respect. Not to mention his photos of his time in the military look pretty cool. You want to advertise for the military and inspire people? Tell his story. You bring a drag queen on and you insult and offend me. And probably a lot of other people, okay? I see a picture of Hung Kao just decked out in his full gear when he's in the military and he says, America saved my life, and so I'm giving back. And I'm just like, that's the best recruitment ad I've ever seen. Be the hero who saves the lives. I don't know what they're going for. I got to be completely honest. Maybe it's just me. I like superhero movies, but I tell you what inspires me to action. It's the superheroes I grew up watching were popular among young men, kids for a reason, because we want to be Superman, not just to have powers. Some kids are like, I'm being bullied, I wish I had superpowers. That's how you get villains. But some people want to be like Superman or Batman. They have the ability, but they never kill. There's comics where they do, I get it. But the general idea in the shows that we watch was, no, it's always wrong, arrest them. And then you get the problems of the Joker getting out. I get it. But the point is, I see with our vets and statements like that, that's how you recruit. I'm going to tell you, there's going to be some 16-year-old kid who sees that video and he's going to be like, I want to be just like him. That's recruitment right there. So shout out to Hung Kao, man. Best of luck. Love to get you on the show and talk about this because his experience especially is so fascinating. So maybe there's a conversation to be had. We're a month out from the election and should be interesting. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with everyone you know, and head over to getcominghome.com. Pick up the song on iTunes. On Amazon now. It's available. And so we would greatly appreciate it if you do. You can follow me on X at Timcast. Smash that like button, of course. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL live here on YouTube. We'll see y'all then. And for everybody else, we'll grab a little bit of your super chats here. All right. Ham sandwiches. We make enough fun of the Navy and other branches. They aren't helping themselves. Yikes. Indeed. Not to mention the song In the Navy. All right. Superfly says, Tim, I think those people that don't see you on their page aren't actually subscribed. Maybe watch, but not subscribed. Every morning I wake up, I look at my phone, and there you are on my live page. Well, a lot of people are pointing out they are subscribed and they're not getting it. But guys, subscribe. YouTube sent me this thing where it's like, it basically said, it's a huge show, largely successful, but you don't get enough likes and you don't get enough engagement. And I'm like, really? I was like, I thought we'd get a lot. And they're like, you know what I think it is? For Timcast IRL, more than half the people who watch are watching on TVs in their living rooms. For real. It's kind of crazy. It's a weird number. And they're like TV and desktop. And I hear from a lot of people that they're watching with friends and family. So that means it's not really a viewer. And the difference between a view on Timcast IRL versus another podcast is most podcast downloads and views, a single person presses play and listens. Timcast IRL has a challenge. People tell us largely, more than half, are actually watching with multiple people at once, like a primetime cable show. In which case, it may say 350,000 views, but maybe 150,000 of those views or 200,000 of those views are actually 500,000 because 3 or 4 people were in the room at one time. We can't track that. So it may be for a lot of people, they just aren't subscribed and they expect to see it every day. So subscribe, my friends. Share the show with everyone you know. I'm going to wrap it up there. We'll be back tonight. Make sure you buy the song. Look, I can only say it so many times, but today's the last day. It is Thursday. It's the final day we have to sell the song, and we got to sell a lot. So it would mean the world to me, and I'd greatly appreciate it. And I hope you agree with our mission and our message. Check out the song on YouTube, Coming Home, by Timcast featuring Phil Labonte. And go to getcominghome.com to buy the song. Link is in the description below. If, like I keep saying, if everybody who watched this just one day said, okay, it's $1, I'll do it, we'd be number 1 on Billboard. And they'd be like, damn, you can't stop it. They're going to stop it eventually, though. I think this may be the last opportunity we have to actually do one of these big pushes. So, but we will be back tonight with our big finale push for the song. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and we'll see you then.